I'd like to call to order first the Town of Belleville Planning Board meeting for May 20th, 2024. Just procedural things, so just bear with me. What we'll need to do in this is nominate Chris Seberg as the Secretary of the Planning Board. And then we can adjourn this meeting until the conclusion of the Board of Adjustment hearing. It's a procedural thing. So can somebody nominate Chris Seberg as Secretary of the Planning Board?
I nominate Chris Seberg, Secretary of the Planning Board.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You want to call the roll now, Chris, or later?
Yeah, we can do that when we convene as planning board. Okay, so, Ethan Barker.
Here.
Ty Cannon.
Here.
Kitty Sullivan.
Here.
Susan Manette.
Here.
Andrea Beasley.
Here.
Jim Dubovic.
Here.
Chad has a wonderful excuse for not being here. It's called a wedding anniversary. I think that's valid. So
I make a motion to excuse Chad from the meeting tonight.
I second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now I'd like to recess the planning board until.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair, before you recess, as your job as chair tonight is to appoint the Board of Adjustment, the 5 members of the Board of Adjustment. So
Do it now?
Yes, sir. We need to do that before we go into the Board of Adjustment meeting, and you need to appoint 2 alternates. And I know you have 1 member not here tonight. Just let me remind the board, if I may, that you have to have 5 members of the Board of Adjustment for a quorum. So if you appoint the absent member as one of the board members, you will not have a quorum for the Board of Adjustment meeting, and you'll need to
I understand.
change that. Table it.
Okay, with that said, before I nominate voting members, are there any members here that have had ex parte communication, any bias or conflicts of interest with the subject of the Board of Adjustment hearing? Okay.
No, sir.
With that said, anybody want to excuse themselves? Okay.
Nope.
I've got to decide to sit one of you out. I'm sorry about this. And I'm going to do it in the most fair way I think I can. The newest member, I think it would be appropriate, and I hate to ask you this, but you'll need to move from behind the dais. But pay attention in case you got to come back for.
Mr. Chair, they make us stay until you make the motion to adjourn the planning.
Okay, you can stay till. Listen to her, she's an attorney. They just give me a toy hammer. Okay. With that said, is it time to recess?
It's time for, okay, so you've appointed everyone except Ms. Beasley and Mr. Dubovic.
Yes, everybody, the other
Oh,
5.
no, except for,
Dubovic
And
and
Chad.
Chad.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
got it.
The other 5 up here are the appointed voting members of the Board of Adjustment. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get to vote in this one.
Yep.
And that's just by appointment. No vote is needed on that.
Okay.
Right, okay.
Do you need now a motion to adjourn?
Motion to recess.
Sorry, thank you, sir.
I make a motion to
Recess
recess
until after the Board of Adjustment.
until after the Board of Adjustment meeting.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passed. I'd like to reconvene the planning board at 7:28. We've got 2 items on the agenda. We've already called the roll. First question I'd like to ask is, how long does everybody have to go over this? If we don't do it tonight, we're going to have a special meeting to get this done because we can't wait another 30 days for this.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time looking at it.
I think we can do it in an hour.
Hope so.
Is everybody good to go for this? Okay, everybody's gonna be here for the next hour. All right.
Hopefully not.
Well,
Let's keep it quick.
Board of Adjustment. Planning Board. Okay. Approval of the minutes from the April 22nd, 2024 Planning Board meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is the UDO amendment discussion. We requested it be put back to this meeting, section 6.8 sidewalk dining. There's been some minor changes. Chris, you want to tell us about the changes?
Yes, sir. Greg, can you put the presentation on the screen, please? All right, so this is very similar to what was presented last month to you guys with some adjustments from our conversation on April 22nd. Plus, we did receive comments from Carteret County Environmental Health, and we also received comments from North Carolina Department of Transportation. So some of this is repetitive. I'm not going to go over it. I've color-coded the changes from what you guys heard last month. So starting with, under minimum standards, we have taken out parking meters and bus stops as something for applicants to show, because we don't have them here in Emerald Isle. Plus, or no, that was the only thing taken out of that subsection 5 on the screen. So on subsection B, let's see, that was removed because of the recommendation of Carteret County Environmental Health. And in addition of, or the deletion of subsection E, because staff just really doesn't see the need to allow for multiple properties or encroachment on other properties at this time. That can certainly be readdressed when the need comes. So that's why that was taken out. So on the screen now, under conditions, and this is a requirement or recommendation from DOT, that we put in writing that no food trucks are allowed in a right-of-way. And then also that used to state operating restaurant and or dining entertainment or an entertainment establishment. We've just taken the entertainment part out. We don't want to get misconfused or convoluted that you can have a live band while you're having sidewalk dining. So that's where that was just taken out. All right, so also on conditions, you've got shifting that, removing everything at the end of the day from 1 a.m. to 10 p.m. At the request of North Carolina Department of Transportation, the temporary barriers are not permitted in this code. And then we also discussed, this was discussion with umbrellas with North Carolina Department of Transportation. They didn't want to see umbrellas in the right-of-way. The flooring change was also a recommendation from North Carolina Department of Transportation. They recommend allowing pavers. Let's see, and then of course, subsection O is just also the not allowing it to expand on adjacent properties. So these bottom two are direct result from our April 22nd meeting. So you have the parking requirements. It's just a cut and paste where we have it elsewhere, along with a reference to not only parking requirements for restaurants when you add 4 more seats, that requires 1 parking space, but also if they use remote parking.
That's what I was gonna ask, what does that mean? What's remote parking?
So
Does that mean the CVS? I mean, like, what, I mean, I'm just being realistic, like, is that?
For example purposes, yes, it would mean the CVS. We would have to have per code certain understanding from the property owner that they grant permission for the satellite parking.
We have
But if
several-
there is no additional customer seating, if they're still following the same number that they were licensed for when they opened it, you don't need to add any parking, right?
It would depend on what would be in the sidewalk dining area.
But if the number in the sidewalk dining area and then the number inside is the same number total of what they are allowed, what is it, the kitchen?
What they're
size or
permitted
something
for,
like
so
that?
they-
Permitted for, that, then they don't need additional parking if they're doing the sidewalk dining, do they?
If they add additional seating.
Yeah, but
But it's not
what if you're
additional.
just making it more spacious, like you're.
It's
you're-
like you have less
Same
number
number, but
inside
more
because you've got some
space.
outside.
So-
is what I'm
The way
saying.
it's written is additional.
One thing that we have to take in consideration are the unpermitted additions out there that are in the right-of-way. Those aren't counted right now. We
Right.
can't count them right now because they're not permitted to be out there.
Oh,
We have to create the regulation and permitting function to allow them, but we have to also understand that the state code has limitations on how many people based off of your number of seats. based
That's what I'm asking you.
But that, yeah, we would have, that's a open-ended question because we don't have all the data in front of us to know, all right, environmental health, they've rated you at this, so you gotta have so many tables. Staff will have to go in there and just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just
Well,
see,
and that-
and then go outside and just say, hey, where is your parking specific for Fish Hut Grill?
But
Chris, so basically, if
if
you
you
have,
have the same number, whether you have it inside or outside,
so I think
Doesn't
what we're
matter.
asking is if there's 100 seats inside and you take out 50 of them and you put 50 outside,
yes,
that's,
as long as you stay in the
That's what
rules.
I'm
Yeah, I mean,
There'd be no
if all
additional-
those numbers match up, then
there should be no
Fine.
additional.
but who's
The key word
going
is
to govern
additional.
that?
Right, okay,
But I'm not saying additional.
No, but that's what this says.
that's the same, so as long as you keep the numbers
Anything
the
they're
same, you're
rated
okay.
for
That's-
above where they
That's-
currently
we're
are.
okay, yeah, we're good, yeah, we're good.
If they
That
add
is I
seating,
was asking a question, I was not referring to that.
right, but that's, I'm trying to answer your question by saying this says that additional seating would be required to show.
We got you,
Right.
we got you.
If they're not doing additional, they're just moving it, they wouldn't have.
All good, as long as you stay in the rules.
Last month when we were talking about it, it was if you had sidewalk, you had to have additional parking.
If you have.
No,
No, it
That's-
was,
that's
if you
what I was hearing
added
last-
seats.
That's what I was hearing last
If
month.
you add seats, you have to add
That's
parking.
why I'm
If you take
asking-
half of your seats out
That
and
is
we're
why
allowing
I'm
this,
asking
Then
the
you're good.
question, because I wanted clarification.
Got it.
That's-
but who's going to govern that? Because I don't know a single restaurant that's going to take seating out to put it outside. They might do it the first day, the second, but what happens when they open their doors July 4th and they all of a sudden show up with, fiberglass tables? Who's going to govern that? Because that office doesn't have time to govern what they have now.
Well,
But it doesn't matter, that's not what we can vote for on this,
that,
right?
yeah,
We
that
can't.
doesn't have any, I mean, that is the
So we're gonna-
responsibility of
We
the
vote for what we
the
vote for, right?
restaurant, the
For Chris.
the municipality, that's,
But we're not thinking of our patrons, we're not thinking about our public, we're thinking about the business owners. We're not thinking about the people that come to Emerald Isle that are guaranteed a service and then they don't have it because there's no
I mean-
parking, there's no
I mean,
available
if you put
space.
in a restaurant, because I have done restaurant floor plans. If you put in a restaurant, you're allowed to have 75 seats. And you put 75 seats in, you got extra space in there. Who's to say later on, after they get all their permits, they didn't add more tables so they could have more seats in there?
That happens.
I mean, that's,
Exactly.
that is, we can't govern that. So if they do it inside versus outside, we can't govern that.
We can't stop people from breaking the law with any ordinance.
Right,
But
so I
But we're
think that's
making an ordinance to allow somebody that's currently breaking the law so that they're within the
who's
ordinance.
breaking the law.
if you're adding tables inside,
There's one that has tables inside the public right away, right now.
There's a couple restaurants that have inside the public, it's just not the DOT one.
correct.
So here's something to take in consideration on this discussion. This is an annual permit. We will need, on an annual basis, certification on the seating. Now granted, could that, they could just take some out and then later on in the heavy months, slip some in and staff not catch it. That is certainly a possibility.
Yeah,
The only actions we have is, we do have this annual permitting, and we have the right, the way this is written, we have the right to enter in at any time
Sure.
we choose to inspect.
That's nice as Amy.
I'm just scared, I was
Will that
getting,
happen? We don't have the staff to do that, I'll be bluntly honest with you, but that is an option.
my whole question was coming from, because last month, what I was hearing people saying was, if they applied for this permit, they would have to get additional parking.
If they're asking for more seats.
Because the current,
That's the part I didn't know. I
no, that's what we're
didn't
saying,
hear that. I
because
didn't hear that
the
last
current
month. So
seats
that's-
outside are
so
unpermitted. They're
That's
not
what I
allowed.
am verifying now.
So,
Because the current seats inside the public right-of-way are disallowed currently. So the minute that this goes into effect, those seats will then be probably disallowed because they won't have parking unless they get a satellite parking agreement. And based on our ordinance, those parking spaces have to be within 400 feet of the front door of the establishment.
Is it 400, I thought
It's
1,200?
400. I've
400 feet.
drawn it and I've done
I
plenty of
also feel
figuring.
like if this is going to be a city ordinance, it needs to be on all streets, not just DOT streets. Because it doesn't make sense why it wouldn't be, if it's a city ordinance.
so
It was approached to us just for 58, right?
I'll answer it that way. In discussion with DOT reps, their recommendation is a limited area that is most available for, because this is all restaurant purposes. So where your restaurants are. So if you look at, well, we'll cover that in the definition part where I define the sidewalk dining area. So it's not including all these side roads, it's just a blob over 58 from one end to where we have some, I think it starts over there.
It's Emerald Plantation just to Live Oak, right? Like, it's a small section.
Yeah, it's a small section, and that was what was recommended that staff include in.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want any
Who
bigger.
recommended that?
I believe that was in our conversation with both the town manager and North Carolina Department of Transportation.
So why can't it include the other streets?
It can, it's just not recommended.
See, the reason I'm asking is because I know that there are some streets, some restaurants that do have parking that are almost, or not parking, but outdoor dining that are almost right up on the street. Makes it very hard to get around the turns and stuff like that.
which
And
one
so
did-
I feel like it should be if you're doing it with one, you should do it on all the streets.
Which one in particular?
74, North, whatever that place is
Is that
called. That,
Mangrove?
Back behind.
yeah, the one,
Mangrove and Old Perry?
the other end of that strip mall.
Okay.
That encroaches into the town street right away. And when it's crowded there, it's hard to get around there. And so I feel like it's that area
Food truck
should,
out there sometimes. That's
Sure,
fenced
it's
in?
there all the time.
yeah, they have that little,
Pizza truck.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
But they have, I mean, it gets hard, it's difficult. I mean, I live right there, so I go around that turn all the time and it gets,
But
when it's crowded
technically,
there.
I don't
can't.
think,
That's
And
not,
that's
correct
why
me
I
if I'm
feel like
wrong.
it should be every.
this wouldn't allow what
That
they have
wouldn't
going
allow
on
them to
because
block
they
that
have a
road.
block structure
They're
in the
not
right of
blocking
way.
They're just on.
Well, and
A vertical block
They're not-
by definition, they're a bar, they're not a restaurant.
Right.
they're in violation.
So
Yeah, they're a private bar.
sidewalk dining is
Huh?
not, would
Wouldn't,
not include a bar.
Okay.
Strictly.
Someone
Hear that?
So did you hear that?
They fall
So
under the
if
entertainment.
they fall as a bar,
not
so they
the
wouldn't
restaurant.
count anyways, it's restaurant only.
There are
Bar
bars.
would more,
But it's sidewalk.
doesn't matter.
So,
It's a different
so
sidewalk dining.
under
not sidewalk parking.
definition, it goes into, if you got an establishment that makes 60% of its money from alcohol sales and 40%, I'm just using numbers. I don't know the exact number, but I know it's out there. It has to be a bar by definition. If you're getting, say, 20% and 80% is from food sales, then it's a restaurant. And that's just kind of generalizing it. But this sidewalk dining regulation is strictly for restaurants, for sidewalk dining. Do they have a food truck there? Yes. Do they, is it, well, and that's something else. That's independent to the bar. That's a different owner of the food truck. And that's specific, if we're talking about 77 North specific, that is a different owner than the owner of the bar.
And in our next item, we have satellite merchant trucks, which
Correct.
does not allow food trucks in the right of way. That's covered in our next item.
Yeah.
I still stand by, I feel like this should not just be a DOT street ordinance. If this is a town ordinance, it should be for all streets. If it is a town ordinance,
Understood.
that's how I feel.
Well, like I said, in the next item we're going to discuss, the satellite food trucks are not allowed in the right of way anywhere.
Right?
So they're not allowed in the sidewalk ordinance, nor are they allowed on the side streets.
Sure.
So that, the food truck issue is covered one way or the other.
Yeah.
But, you know, should they be able to put tables where that food truck is? I don't think so. I mean, it's a curve, I mean, I understand this.
Depend on, yeah.
I
I'm
understand.
not talking about that issue, I'm talking about this one, and I just feel like if you're doing sidewalk, if the town is going to have a sidewalk dining ordinance, it needs to be all streets. That's my opinion as planning board member.
What was the justification for not recommending it? Did they say, was it congestion based, or was it just DOT has seen in other municipalities that maybe access is on city streets versus straight onto the DOT right of way because of driveway permitting and whatnot? Did they say any reason?
So they expressed concerns if you go townwide, because I think in April 22nd, we even looked at down Village, well, not Village Drive, what's the name, at Islander Drive,
Yeah,
going down there. They did not they recommended starting small and building it. And that's always a possibility. We start off with this microcosm. If we find out that it's very successful and as things redevelop, because that'll take place, we all know that. It can be, the boundary area can be expanded at the request of this board or the board of
It's
commission.
not locked in.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, this was based off of Greenville, North Carolina, right, their plan. And I know their social district, right, how they're gonna start it, they're gonna start off on a very small level playing field, see what happens. As time goes on, they keep expanding. That's the same with Wilson, Cary, all these other places. So what may be put is not permanent in some of those boundaries right now. I guess time would tell what your staff find out, maybe the law enforcement start seeing and things like that. That could change that boundary pretty swiftly. but
Safety issues.
To be able to start on that smaller area, but be able to blow these things out as we go, seeing the success or detriment.
Good point.
But I just want to confirm, none of this would be on the bike path, right? It's sidewalk. Would any of it be bike path?
No.
They
So
can't
that
block
was,
it.
that was another recommendation from NCDOT, is that you do not allow them on the bike.
That would just be horrible. Like, I mean, if you're like running, I don't want to be running down the road and like
Exactly.
sweating on people's food. It would be
Exactly.
uncomfortable.
They can be on, you know,
Up
on
to
the
it.
grass area, up to it, but not.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
this allows it on sidewalks as long as you leave that, I think it's 6 foot.
4.5 feet,
4
yeah,
feet.
but that's like,
Yeah, 4
4
feet,
foot.
Yeah, your egress.
but not the bike path.
not the bike path.
Perfect.
That's where you see the term not permissible in a multi-use
I
path.
saw that in red. Okay,
Yes.
so make sure that's what I'm reading. Okay, that makes
Sure.
me happy. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Greg, can you put the presentation back up? Thank you. All right, so that's the parking change, and also at the recommendation of North Carolina Department of Transportation, we put in writing that parking is not allowed in the right-of-way period. Let's see, it's permanent, non-transferable, revocation. All right, so this is the final changes from what you guys saw in your April 22nd meeting, and that's defining the sidewalk dining area. And again, like we previously discussed, it's from, I'm trying to read it on here. It's, yeah, on Highway 58, on the right-of-way, Highway 58, starting at intersection with Emerald Plantation Road to the intersection of Live Oak Street. That's just that small area that was established. And then the sidewalk, let's see, yeah, sidewalk dining and the definition, add the definition of multi-use path, not, cannot have sidewalk dining on it. So that is all we have on that. As far as action by this board, if you wish to take it, well, you need to take something on that. So those are your options. You have a consistency statement in front of you. It's the one that is stapled together. You can recommend approval of the proposed amendment as written, along with approving the consistency statement as submitted. You can modify and recommend the approval of the updated amendment along with approving the modified consistency statement. You can continue, or also known as table a decision to future meetings and request for more information. The next scheduled meeting for this board is June 24th, or you can recommend denial of this requested amendment.
And just so I'm clear, the board, we're all for it, Board of Commissioners?
So the Board of Commissioners did, on a unanimous vote, recommend that this board put something together.
Chris, one thing that I would like to see added, and sorry, I didn't think about it last meeting, would be a 10 by 70 site triangle to be adjacent to the right-of-way as consistent with all DOT major intersections for new development, any proposed driveway access, anything. And what that does is prevent any permanent fixtures or trees or anything within a 10 by 70 off the right-of-way that prevents what you were saying you can't see when you come around the corner. If it's got a 10 by 70 side triangle, you can see. It's a safety concern.
But that won't make any difference because the area I'm talking about is not DOT. And that's why I'm saying this should go for all streets.
I'm just saying, I think we need to add a.
I agree
70
with that.
site
Well,
triangle in.
What you're pointing out might require staff to do a site visit and just see what's out there, what's encroaching, and just have the conversation with the owners.
Well, they'd have to go out there when it's busy.
Every Friday night, you gotta go check on these places.
But I like the idea of starting small and expanding
Yeah.
as we go, so we don't hurt anybody anywhere else and like see how we go. So I think that's the right way to go.
I understand what you're all saying. I don't actually agree with that. I think if you're doing it, because if you do it one place and you only do it one place and you never do it anywhere else. Because nobody went and decided to expand it. But they left it there. I don't think.
I feel like we gotta start here.
Yeah.
I think you
And
need
then
to do
if
it
this
every-
business does want
If
to,
it works, let it grow.
let it grow,
We don't want to hurt
I mean,
people who
we can
aren't.
add to it.
And every
We wanna-
municipality
we wanna help
has
not harm.
sections
I think,
where there's
yeah.
high density,
And they
medium
can sort of-
density, low density, it's a zoning map. And I think that fits with our consistency.
Yeah, codes can be dynamic, you can adjust as needed, if needs are.
You don't know, you don't know.
And
I'd rather
one
start
more
small and let it
question.
start too big and have to kill it.
I think you're, okay, I'm just gonna say, you're targeting businesses and not other businesses by doing this, is what I think.
Yeah, but we've only, this was brought about by one particular business, one asking for it.
But it's not the only business that has this issue.
And I think this is actually going to
Hurt them.
rectify a situation that we currently have that is non-conforming, and we're gonna make it conforming, and they're gonna find out that it's not gonna work.
But it's only one business, there's other businesses that have the same
Okay,
issue, they're just
now
not
I
on
see, now I
DOT,
Now I,
is what I'm saying.
Only one,
Yeah, but their issue, like Chris is saying,
you're a bar.
they, I don't think what they could do would fit this anyways, because that's a bar. They wouldn't be able to apply for this. It just,
So when
somebody
I-
needs to
but
make a
actually,
formal
when I read
complaint.
this, it says
Falls under
entertainment
entertainment.
establishment, entertainment establishment.
So the entertainment part, you remember, we covered that. That was one of the staff recommendations that we take out because we don't want any assumed live show on a sidewalk dining.
One-man band out there on the side.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah,
One question I do have,
Sure.
and I want to make sure that I don't forget.
So again,
I know we discussed, I feel like we discussed something about the speed limit maximum.
agree with this.
yes.
And I just wanted to make sure that DOT did recommend that it be a maximum of 45, just intersections and traffic concerns and safety concerns for patrons.
So the 45 speed limit max is something, a condition set by DOT.
Okay.
So
I just wanna make
in
sure.
their initial documentation provided to staff, that was some of the particulars on there. You cannot be over 45 miles per hour.
And that might be something that we need to look at in the future, making sure that we might see that it's adding too much congestion in 45 mile per hour speed zones or not.
Especially at the intersection.
In,
Yeah.
intersections, roundabouts, et cetera. You know what I
on,
mean?
on that one, I think 35 is probably more desirable, but.
And I
45 's
see
fine.
35 coming. You
I
know,
mean, it's
35's
already,
coming.
it's right there. It's like
It's
a
coming.
spitting distance. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
That's
for the whole
classy way to
corridor.
say it, but it's really close.
Well, I make a motion to approve the sidewalk dining amendment per the consistency statement as written with the addition of the 10 by 70 site triangle requirement.
10 by 70?
10 by 70.
And how do
That
I
It's a
say-
common, it's a
Is that a
standard,
feet or a ratio?
it's feet, it's a common,
I've heard the site triangle before, I didn't know
it's
that.
10 foot back off the right of way. It's basically wherever your stop sign is, where the stop bar is, it comes back 10 feet. Essentially, think about driving up and you sitting in a vehicle where you stop at, and then 70 feet to the right, you make a triangle. Nothing can be in your sight line. No trees, no bushes that are over 36
Good
inches.
gosh, my street doesn't
No.
even nowhere close to that.
No tables, no Adirondack chairs that are 8 foot tall, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because it is a
Safety.
safety hazard.
Yeah, the Bogie Inlet Pier sign had to be a certain height because of that rule.
Exactly, it had to be above your line of sight.
Or
not
below.
Below, yeah, exactly.
That one was going below.
And that is a flat out DOT standard for North Carolina. That is
Yeah.
not something that I'm saying to add that's above and beyond. That's any development in North Carolina.
I second the motion.
How do I say I'm against the motion?
Vote against it.
You only say aye, you never say nay.
That's because everybody's aye. Boy,
Most everybody always votes aye, so I don't ask for a no vote, but if someone doesn't vote, I'll ask for no vote. Especially now that I know you want me to. Okay, any other discussion on, the motion is to recommend approval as written by Chris with the addition of the site triangle be added to the requirements of the ordinance. Any other discussion?
And we know that we can take this and expand it out further. And we're not
Everything
stuck
we do,
here.
we can
Yeah.
change,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I think it needs
seen
to
that
be
already.
modified,
okay?
more than just, I do agree with Athan's, but I think it needs to be modified further.
But again, this is restaurant, not bar, so it wouldn't.
It doesn't matter, it doesn't
So unless
matter,
we can make that whole thing, but
it
gotcha.
doesn't matter.
I know what
Yeah.
you're saying, gotcha, okay.
All right, on Ethan's motion, we have a second?
I second
Yeah,
it.
you second
Yeah,
it?
we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay. There.
Thank you, I just wanted, I
Line of the
don't-
sand.
I don't, there's things
Okay.
on here I don't agree with.
I've had my ribs slow cooking for 4 hours and 30 minutes now.
Don't make me hungry, Kenny, let's not talk about food.
I'm so-
I'm gonna get home and
I've been
Amy's gonna say,
pretty-
man, those were
I've been
good.
pretty, I'm not the one that's like over explaining everything.
I hear
It's
you
straight
saying.
up.
All right. Next item on the agenda, and it's actually addresses some of your concerns, is the ordinance amendment discussion on satellite merchant regulations in regard to locations near physical structures selling similar products. And as to what you're saying, this ordinance does not allow food trucks in the right of way.
Okay.
So that's addressed in here. With that said, Chris?
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, so on the screen, you have just the background on this. During their May 14th, 2024 regular meeting, the Emerald Isle Board of Commissioners unanimously approved a motion instructing planning board to review and recommend adjustments to the satellite merchant regulations to ensure that there is no competition. I think I spelled that wrong, but competition with
Completion.
businesses within a permanent physical location. You've heard the term brick and mortar is the term typically used. So staff, seeing as that was last Tuesday, we had to put together just what could be considered. All right, and part of that includes, let's take a look at section 10-4 of the Emerald Isle Code of Ordinances. And that lays out the intent on the satellite merchant regulations, and I'm going to read it verbatim, just so you guys follow. It is the intent of these regulations to promote a fair and competitive business environment in the town. Because of its reliance on tourism, it is important for the town to preserve its small town atmosphere and encourage adequate provisions of goods and services. It is important to protect business interests who have invested in the community with fixed establishments, employment opportunities, and tax contributions. It is also the intent of these regulations to offer opportunities for convenient access to goods and services by increasing number of visitors in commercial and mixed-use districts, as well as locations with a highly transient visitor base, including ocean fishing piers, hotels, motels, campgrounds, condominium complexes, recreation vehicle parks, and public beach access facilities. So staff recommendation on that, we could adjust section 10-43, subsection 2, subsection B, subsection 2, subsection 4 of the Emerald Isle Code of Ordinances, and propose it to read with the additional text that a satellite merchant, this is already in there right now, satellite merchants shall only operate within the following areas. So it's in there, it has 1, 2, 3. This is looking to add number 4, that satellite merchants is no closer than 500 feet from any physical building providing a similar service. For the purpose of this section of the code, the term similar service shall include providing dessert within 500 feet of a physical structure that provides any item considered a dessert, or a food truck within 500 feet of a physical structure providing similar food. 500 feet will be measured from the edge of the building to the proposed location of the satellite merchant. And potential actions by this board, you can recommend approval of what staff has provided, and along with the consistency statement, you can modify and recommend the approval of the updated amendment along with approved consistency. You can table a decision until a future meeting, which the next one is June 24th, or you can recommend denial of the request. So that's, I was getting ready to say that. And then also, we do have public here wishing to speak on this matter.
So just for example, the one on Coast Guard Road, the food truck there is always in front of the old gas station, the old Valero, which is
Wine shop, beer, wine shop.
The wine shop.
Yeah, the wine shop in front of the wine shop, so they would not be able to put a food truck there ever again. Because you have a restaurant across the street that has, I mean, you can't put a sub shop here and they sell burgers here, they're similar foods.
So we've measured out, so yeah, if you guys recommend the 500, let's say hypothetical, you guys recommend the 500 feet, the Board of Commissioners adopts the 500 feet. You are essentially taking out that area. You are also taking out other areas where, food trucks are permitted. We have the specific map that's available on our website, but, you're looking at the condo complexes, you're looking at travel RV park, you're looking at, in front of the Islander Hotel, Mr. Watson has numerous lots that are available. You also have the Salty Pirate, you've got, property owned by, I think they still own it, that used to have artisan granite before the tornado tore it up.
Those will all still be permitted, I mean,
Well, they're a permitted location, but
Right.
if they're the way this is written, if they're within 500 feet of a similar business, it cannot go there. Because part of this, the way it seemed in the board meeting is they want to make sure that there's no infringement on the brick and mortar businesses in town.
Good.
So you're saying that the one over across from would not be permitted? The one that's been there for the past 2 years?
I just shot a measurement, it's like 260 feet, building to building.
You're talking about in front of the wine market.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, right now, location is determined by the property owner. Now, we had a little incident recently where the property owner did not sign permission slip on that. We've since corrected that on 2 of the 3 that did occur. Because, a tenant signed the permission slip and they weren't allowed to sign on behalf of the property owner.
Right.
I see this as pretty much a non-issue because an ice cream shop in a strip center, the very next door, 2 feet away from it, someone could lease that space and open up an ice cream store 2 feet away.
But they're investing in the property.
They're investing,
as
they're
well,
like
because
paying
it's brick and mortar.
taxes, yeah.
Yeah,
Versus a food truck that's not brick and mortar.
Yeah,
right,
this is-
but they have to be parked at a brick and mortar, a competing business of some kind,
No, because they parked on that
They're
lot,
transient.
So, yeah, I
across the
mean,
street.
but they're within 500 feet.
Yes. I don't see it as a big deal, but some people do, I guess.
Are you saying you,
I do, because you can leave, you can leave here and go to another place, like you can take your business wherever you want to, because it's on wheels. Somebody else decided to invest and put down roots here to put into it.
I
Like,
guess
that's
with the ordinance, they could stay here and use, they could still put their food truck here, it just couldn't
be
be
500 feet.
there. It could
Yeah,
be
exactly.
at the travel, or at the Islander Hotel.
You gotta walk a bit.
so,
We've permitted that place.
so
Which
why
not
is
only-
it, so why is it 500 feet?
That's just something the board members come up with.
so the 500 feet came from, I think it's Ocean Isle Beach. They have something very similar that was, it was stated numerous times in the board meeting that there was a like on how they viewed it, and that's where the 500 feet came from. That's the science behind it. I don't know how they came up with that 500 feet. It's just.
I would imagine it probably prevents a lot of congestion if you have, multiple food trucks or a food truck and a dinner restaurant that are serving the same service at the same time. Congestion would
I
be,
understand that
real.
completely, but I keep looking at, well, that place across from the wine market, that place, they have different food trucks go there. It seems like an awesome place to have a food truck, but this would mean they couldn't do it anymore. So I
It
think-
depends on what kind of food truck, if it's, so you've got across the street,
They have
you've got
Chinese
a dessert shop, you also have
Pizza.
Lazzaras,
Pizza.
you have
Gotta be something different.
Gaffers.
Gaffers, so, I mean.
If
you'll
you're an
have to do
Indian
some-
food truck, your Indian
Yeah,
food truck
I
would
guess
be
that's the
fine
way
out
of
there, you know.
looking at it.
You're not
is-
competing, yeah.
Oh, so it's
It's about
the
competition.
type of food?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, I'm like against that even more, actually. I'm sorry, I'm like, it's like, it's
I think
all or nothing.
The
is
one
way I look
incident
at
that
it.
brought us about was there was a peach cobbler food truck there that did peach cobblers, all kinds of different cobblers. They had some shakes, and then they had brownies and cookies. Well, across the street is the ice cream shop. And they're saying that it's,
Because the ice cream shop has to have a bathroom, a public bathroom, the food truck doesn't. They have, like, there are things that they're gonna have to have
no,
that the other
the
place
ice cream
doesn't
shop
have
doesn't
to.
have to have a public bathroom.
Oh, they don't? Okay. So you can serve food without having a bathroom?
To go? To go?
It's an ice cream shop, they don't have to have a.
That
What
helps.
is- what's the
Because I
one-
think that's like, there's a lot that goes
What's the
to
drive-in
that
in
bar.
Salter Path called?
Captain's Kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
The one on the ocean side.
Oh, the Big Oak Drive-In. There's a drive-in, yeah.
Yeah.
Big oak.
Yeah, you drive up, order your food, you get in your car and you leave. Or you can eat it in the parking lot. I don't think they
Just
have
like
restaurants.
L.
Yeah.
They have restrooms, both of them.
Yeah.
Around back.
Around back.
Yeah, both of
They
those
have
have
restaurants.
restaurants. Even like L's they have a restroom.
Yeah, around back.
Around back?
Yeah, they have-
Okay. They're well hidden. They don't tell you they're there.
No, they don't.
Mr. Chair.
So what's considered, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think you have public here. I think it'd be appropriate to get their take on it so you can hear from them and then you can
Yeah,
further
you're right,
discuss.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, we're just talking.
I thought you just liked watching us for 3 hours.
I know.
If you wanted to say something, you should.
Tell us things, please.
But anyway, y'all have something to add to this?
Yeah, he just came with me.
Okay, ma'am? Okay, if you would, go to the podium and state your name and address, please.
My name is Ashley Anthony, and I reside at 412 Dion Drive, all the way over in Hubert, North Carolina. I'm not native to North Carolina. I actually moved here 4 years ago from Flint, Michigan, which I'm sure all of you have heard stories about that place before. But mainly I moved here for a different opportunity for my kids. Where I'm from, I feel like much like this situation, it boils down to success. Being successful, I don't feel like it should have a limitation. Where I'm from, an opportunity to own a mobile food truck industry is unheard of, and long-term success usually isn't an option. I know the whole point of view is centered around multiple food trucks. However, I know that everyone here knows which food truck has drawn the most audience's attention lately, and as opposed to across the street, a likely business that does share a common interest in it. Personally, myself, I'm not a fan. However, I am supportive over the idea that not one person should be favored over the other. I wish both places in question at the moment could be allies as opposed to enemies. Ice cream and peach cobbler together sounds like a fantastic idea. The moral of what I'm trying to get out, though, is that someday my children, as well as everyone's children near or far, could end up here or close by at least, and possibly building their own food trucks or investing in brick and mortar businesses, whether it's on wheels or on bricks. And I just want them to be able to have their own opportunity to do so without limitations, and I don't think that success should be limited to distance. And that's all I really have to say about it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
How much oversight happens for food trucks versus a brick and mortar
How
restaurant?
much oversight?
Yeah, like how much, we're paying a lot, I mean, with the brick and mortar, we're all up in everybody's business. How much are we in everybody's business with a food truck if they come on the island?
So we do, I mean, we issue annual permits. We make sure that we get the valid permission for them to locate whichever they're locating. We do occasionally act on complaint-driven or complaints on violations. We do occasionally just do a visual, see if everything is going right.
Chris, do the food trucks, I think I know the answer, but do the food trucks have to go through environmental health approval in Carteret County?
Yes.
And what is their fee to operate business in Emerald Isle?
So the annual fee is $250 to operate in the town. And it is set up in a way, it's for calendar year. So if you come in and you apply today, you'll see on your permit is good from, say, May 20th to December 31, 2024. It's not prorated, it is 250 flat. So,
So don't go December 1st and get one.
What are you selling?
You got a question?
I think we've issued 6 satellite permits for this calendar year.
Thank you.
Yeah. But what would it kill them if they moved more than 500 feet away? I'm not good at spatial distance, it's not my thing. Like, my husband's laughing, I don't know. Like, I don't know, 500 feet, 12 feet.
I just, I,
I think it'd help with congestion, one thing, and a second, a brick and mortar, I agree, equal opportunity, but a brick and mortar puts a lot more bodies to work that are local. A food truck can be housed in rich
And
lands.
transient, yeah.
And transient. I have no problem with them. I just feel that this does help protect and also gives a ton of space for food trucks that would also, I mean, with this, the commercial property down to the east side of the island, other than flip-flops, having the burger stand there, could they go down there, Chris?
Yeah, there's no food down there.
There's nothing
no
down
food
there
I mean, and
for
we're
renters or
starving.
anything.
Yes,
you know.
I wish they'd come down there.
so,
You've never had a
East
burger
side of the
flip-flops?
island.
I mean, we've got a map that shows the locations. They're circled around essentially this area. This Islander Drive includes, the public beach accesses, but I think,
Could they be at the Eastern Beach access? Because there's no food that way. We're all starving.
well, the code does allow it, it's just up to the town.
There's no
if they're
property
in
for
it.
it.
You can't be on
There's
the,
no property that they could put it out.
Can't be on the beach.
500 feet, though, for how congested we already are. That's a big space. That's a long way. So I'd be very interested in how Ocean Isle maybe it got to that 500, where they might have a few more areas to be able to entertain, just with their length and stuff like that. 500, just in my opinion, you said, what was it, 265 feet? To get 500,
That's fine.
okay, here's a stupid question. How
Have you ever spent time
many
in Ocean
feet
Isle?
is a football field?
Have you ever spent any
How
time in
big is
Ocean
a
Isle?
football field in feet?
Their
How many
area is
feet
smaller
is
than
a football
ours.
field? 100 yards is how many feet?
It's
How
3
many?
times.
300.
So,
Okay. And so, I mean, like, is somebody gonna walk? I mean, have somebody walk. I mean, like, that's
I
a good
guess,
distance.
I guess, it's very helpful to know that how many permits we've
yeah, I
issued.
think if I do this.
I don't know if it's out there, if we figure out, I'd love to know how many
Football
permits
field is
they,
enough, like,
how many
that's a
permits
good
they
distance.
issued.
Right.
More than that.
That 500 just seems right where we are, stuff like that. 500 is just hard to find that enough distance to even make it viable for some of these folks, even those 6 folks.
Right. Well,
That would be up to the individual property owner. See, this still doesn't give the right to a food truck to be there. They still have to get a permission slip from the owner to be there.
right.
Yeah, they
I see what
actually,
you're saying,
they
yeah.
can't be in that parking lot because they would have to get permission from the owner to be in that parking lot.
But she's asking, is this a vote, like, we have to say it's 500 feet or nothing? Can we say, oh, it's at 300 feet?
no, we can
modify.
recommend whatever.
Right. I think we should go football field. Sorry. That's how I measure things. Right.
So, just, this is that map I was saying. Of course, now it's not gonna work. Oh, wait a minute. Using the wrong button. Ah! Fine. All right, so. Yeah, we're over here. Here's, the condo complex. This is down Coast Guard Road. Here's, Queens Court?
Pebble Beach.
Pebble
Pebble Beach.
Pebble Beach, thank
Yep.
you. Pebble Beach, here's
Travel Park.
Travel Park.
Queens
here
Court.
is that's Queens Court. Here's Mr. Watson's, well, not all Mr. Watson's.
Boardwalk.
All Mr. Watson's over here. You got the Boutique Hotel, you've got the Saudi Pirate, you got the Artisan, and then you got Boardwalk. And this is also Boardwalk. This is Islander. This is.
Sound of the Sea.
Thank you. I'm getting there. So
Pier.
you'll see like the locations, and there is over here, and of course I don't have any road names on here, but there are areas here. Greg, can you scroll down and see if we can see the color code on that?
This point
Does
in,
that say,
this point, Pier Point and.
Yeah, Pier Point West and Ocean Reef. That's the furthest east that this map has, potential location requirements that are permissible.
But this isn't also strictly prohibiting, it is only strictly prohibiting light food.
Right. It's basically saying if you're over here, hey, it does work. If you're over here and across the street.
I mean, I would say if I had a pizza place and I had a brick and mortar and somebody came with a pizza like on wheels, it would make me angry. Like I think that's completely not okay. I'm with the whole thing. The 500 feet, I don't know, that doesn't.
I agree with you, but at the same time, there's enough money to go around.
But again, they put more money
Because some of it's
to
convenience and
us.
you're liking, like my wife cannot stand the Mexican restaurant here. I love it. She'll drive all the way to Lang Beach to El Zarape, which I think's crap. But,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has different likes, and I have visited the Peach Cobbler food truck. It's very good. I will continue to go to it if it's on the island, wherever it's at. So I don't think the issue of moving it to a different place, any food truck's gonna make that much difference, because if you like that food, you're gonna still go to it. So, I mean, because my wife can't stand gaffers. I love gaffers.
But then
We all have different preferences.
those people have to invest in the parking, like we talked about the parking part, and and parking is a thing here.
Got a lot of.
So if you like find a place that has parking available to you, you paid money for it, like you
Yeah.
all know, land costs a lot.
But at the same time, we issued this, we started the food trucks a year ago.
couple years ago?
And then all of a sudden, or longer than that, and then now all of a sudden we have an issue? I mean, they've been permitted for over a year and.
Well, that's everything, we like build however you want
Yeah.
to, and also wait, where's the water
But I
going? Now
agree.
we have an issue, like that's
I
always
agree,
gonna
we
be
want
like
to protect our
development,
local
like
businesses,
that's
because
it.
our local people have to survive all year round, they have to pay rent for a place for, I understand all that, but in my opinion, there's
Well,
enough money to go around. I know when Matt with Dental Club in 77 opened back up, there was, oh my God, now we'll be hurt for business. Yeah, it's gonna hurt you for a little bit in the beginning, because it's a new place, but they're all thriving, they're all still in business.
one of the subjects came up to allow food trucks was, what restaurant doesn't have an hour waiting list?
Exactly, and that was one of the reasons we voted on food trucks, is because in the summertime, you can't get in Gaffers for 2 hours waiting.
Yeah.
And, or,
Any of them.
Rucker Johnny, any of
Well,
them.
that's the whole point in like not having them close by though. That's my point. So I understand like I don't think they should not be around, but I don't think they should be in the parking lot across the street from the place. I think you want to park somewhere, you should eat at the place where you get to park, right? Like you got to park for free. Or do you want to park and pay? Hey, we'll take your paid
But-
parking, and then you go to the food truck. But like, we've got to think about how we're making money
So-
off of this to
I
pay for
guess
the
my
infrastructure.
saying, we've had this for over a year and it's been working.
Yeah. So my
One complaint.
So, and
question,
we've had one person complain, and now it's a problem.
yeah,
So I agree, again, I still think there's enough money to go around.
was this,
When the parking lot's full over here and you have a business over here, which one you gonna go to?
was this Peach Cobbler place sitting about where the Captain's Kitchen always sits?
Yeah.
So it was whatever that distance is from that
Yeah.
ice cream shop?
260
It was-
plus.
Cause I see that
And
as
then-
like a totally different area.
And then.
That's walk. We used to walk.
But
That's
this
not
is
like
my
that's
other two
walking.
cents
I mean,
where
yeah.
it's not, I don't think it's not Ronnie Watson's anymore, but if he allowed them to come down here in front of the go-karts, it'd be 500 feet. You still have the same issue. You're still competing with each other. I think there's enough business to go around to compete with each other.
And who's got a 500-foot tape measure to enforce this?
I mean, they would
Well,
have to
you
do
don't
it.
sell those in 500 feet
They would
increments. I can't
change,
find one of those.
they would change the map
So
to
we
fit the
can,
500
be
foot.
permitted.
yeah, we can use the county GIS to measure out. That was one of the things that we did in preparation for tonight's meeting, is try to get a visualization. We were thinking we would have screenshotted so you could see it, but yeah, I mean, 500 feet does stretch across Coast Guard Road. It encompasses that wine market parking lot, so it does cover that. So if there's competing markets, if this code is recommended and adopted by the board and the 500-foot stays, then yes, any competing.
What if you went to 250? What would that change? Would that allow it to, I mean, I like the idea of people having to, it's good for people to walk. They just need to walk, but.
But I mean, I don't think we're fixing the problem when they can move the truck down in front of the pool area and park there and still serve, just because we put a number of 500 foot. It's either we don't allow food trucks in that area at all, or I don't think we can bend the rules that much when they can turn around and bend the rule a little bit. That lot, that property is how big? I mean, you're not on that. Yeah.
Which property?
The wine market. They can park down in front of the pool or in front of the go-karts and still have a food truck there.
Sure, but
So
they-
that we fix the problem that somebody's complaining because of similar food.
So what my opinion would be on that note would be the person that parks there and goes to the beach shop. You know, you win some arguments by having storefront. So you get the people that walk up and are just buying stuff and then they walk by. I agree that I don't know that, rotate it back.
I mean, all they gotta do is move the food truck down here and they're in compliance. And you
Sure.
still have competing business. I mean, again, I feel like there's enough
Well,
money to go around.
competition's good. Competition's never bad.
So like if we.
But I
go
just think we need to make sure we don't like layer it on top of
So-
each other because
Where that
it's-
building
And
is there.
I'm friends with people who own Beach Mart. We go there and buy ice cream all the time.
So that's the rub is them and the peach
That's
cobbler.
what I've been told. Now, I don't know the whole
That's what
facts.
we're
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
all those things.
So just to point out, Greg put on the screen from
That's not
the
from the travel.
Social media.
Carter County
Oh, that's over
GIS,
here. See, that's way over here.
measuring from the front
Yeah,
of
which is no,
that
you know,
first building.
but see, the thing is.
That blue line is 500 feet.
So they can park down at the,
Okay.
and still on the business, they can legally park in front of the go-kart track.
But then they, at least then they can, and we can say it's legal and
The
people
next
can't
person
meet.
here would be like a pizza
500
place
feet is-
and click that. It says 587, that's
That's
far enough.
what 500 feet looks like.
Right.
I mean,
But if we do make the rule of 500 feet and they park down at the ice building,
They're far enough away from.
they're far enough away and people are still gonna go to them because we like the food. I mean,
Sure.
But then
I mean,
that's
which
fair,
is-
then that's fair, then you take the trip further down to go get it, and then
Yeah,
that's
I-
fair,
I-
that's what I'm saying, it's
I,
like
I don't think that's gonna be an issue, but I just feel like we've had this for almost 2 years and now
But-
all of a sudden we have an issue.
well, it's gonna become bigger and bigger,
Yeah,
the
you-
future, it's gonna
Right,
just
but
blow
if we
up.
move it 500 feet and then,
what's the next
what's the
Well, that's what you need to go ahead and lock it in now, because it's only
People
gonna
are still
go
gonna
up.
go to this food truck, so, people are upset because they're maybe losing some business, but are they?
Well, you can Uber Eats anything
All
anywhere.
right, how do you
somebody bringing
find
your
similar
food.
food?
I guess it's categorized as desserts, dessert.
Well, desserts, pizza,
I mean,
sub,
you're gonna have
sub.
American cuisine, which is gonna encompass anything from a burger to.
Everything.
So,
I mean, you
And egg
can
roll.
get right on down.
I think for me personally, I would like to table this for a month to go figure out why Ocean Isle came up with that number, because they might have already gone through 2 years worth
Yeah.
of food truck, and then they found out, whoa, this is actually harming our brick and mortar, which is reducing our tax base.
Right.
and you did bring up
Which-
earlier too, a safety thing, it is congested in that
Yeah.
spot, so.
They might actually have a reason, or they might have just said, you know what, we don't really want food trucks, so we'll do 500 feet, and we have restaurants.
Yeah, that
every
parking lot is
400
scary
feet.
though, there, like at 4 AM, I like go running there, and like pulling out of that parking lot, out of where the beach shop is, like, I mean, I fear for my life in my car, like, it is crazy the way people drive down that street, so, yeah, there are lots of things, but I agree, like, I think we need to take time to
Do a
like,
little research.
yeah.
So we do have a
Motion.
left message with Ocean Isle for their planning, my counterpart over there to give me a call back, I just haven't heard back.
As we were talking about earlier, because I'd love to know how they stumbled upon the 500. I'd also love, if they'd be willing to throw it out there, I'd love to know how many permits they've issued.
Yep.
Sure.
I mean, do y'all see my point? If the truck moves 1,000 feet away, people are still gonna go to that truck.
Oh, yeah, totally,
So,
totally.
are we just moving these people to appease that one business owner? Or
No,
are we
that's-
moving this truck because
That's what
of?
I'm saying, let's table it, so they might have
Right,
already gone through
right.
this actual,
Same fight and.
yeah, and they might figure out, hey,
Let's
this is
let them do the
actually
work,
harming us,
exactly.
or it's
I like
not.
I'm gonna
They might have just
ask for a
pulled it out thin air,
second.
and then we can meet
Motion,
next
I'm gonna
month
need
and
to
just
get a
say,
food
no.
truck to deliver my ribs.
So-
I second Ethan's motion.
You want to, yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table this until the June 26th,
Fourth.
24th, planning board meeting.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Okay. I've had ribs on since.
I know, look, I'm ready too, let's go.
Okay, couple more little things.
Come on.
Chris, you got, report from planning director?
Well, I've just given you guys a copy of our activity report for April. One thing I will point out, the report I was using to do the tree permits is inaccurate. It's significantly higher than what was on there. Let me pull it up.
I have a question on the tree removal. Is it time I can ask you that right now, Chris?
Yeah, well, let me just, so where it says 33, I think it was double that, so. But yes, sir, your
Does a
question.
dead tree require a permit?
We are under instruction by the Board of Commissioners, if it's a dead tree or if it's a dangerous tree, we do not charge for tree removal.
Okay, but you still have to come out and inspect it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I've had people call me and ask me, and I'm like, I really don't know the answer to that, and I didn't want to give the wrong answer. So a dead tree, they just call you, you come out, inspect it, cut it.
We're still having them fill out the application, you can do it online, but what we'll do is staff will go out there, we'll investigate, ensure that, because we've had folks submit applications saying they're dead tree, and staff goes out there, the sucker's live as it can be.
Right.
So that's where it's important that staff does still
Right.
investigate.
And then I had a question, a lady approached me about all the bay trees that are dead on the island, why, and if the town's helping with removal of any of the bay trees, because there's so many of them.
So that's the way we can help, is not charge for the tree
Okay.
removal permit. You know, our guys do still pick up with the knuckle boom truck. There's no way to prevent this. This is
Yeah, it's a-
countywide, actually, I think it's beyond Carter County.
Yeah.
It's just a disease. I don't know if it's based off a beetle or something like that.
I think,
but it's-
that's what my understanding is.
It's a fungus of some kind of beetle that lays eggs in it.
Yeah, it usually happens after hurricanes.
So,
Okay, thank you.
yes, sir. And then, of course, we've got some code enforcement that we're listing on here. If there's any questions on that, please let us know. And then also, the upcoming meetings, you got Board of Commissioners on June 11th, and then your meeting is June 24th, and I'm going to shut up now.
Good, thank you. Okay, I hate to even ask. Comments from the board?
None for me.
I'm gonna probably be gone on the 24th, or maybe might be back on the 24th. I'm gonna send you an email. I'm just saying it so it shows up in the notes, so I remember to send you an email to say
Okay.
I might be somewhere in Georgia running. When you see me in August, I'm gonna look scary. Just be ready for it, Chris. Yeah, I will have run 400 miles. I'm gonna look scary.
Oh, wait a minute, you did
Yeah.
tell me about
Yeah,
that.
I'm gonna look
Yeah.
scary, so be ready.
400 miles.
Somebody chasing you?
I'm just doing it for fun.
You?
Yeah.
Okay, with that, the last item on the agenda, do we have motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Good Lord.
Yeah.